Welcome to Inner Racing by Motorsport Mind. This is the audio version of my popular monthly free video series on mental skills in motorsport. I'm your host Greg, and I'm here to share with you practical insights and strategies to help you enhance your mental racing performance both on and off the track. So get ready as we dive deep and explore the mindset behind successful racing, and as we look at practical ways that you can sharpen your racing mental skills performance and gain a competitive edge when you go racing. Let's get started. Topic video. I want to touch on something that kind of popped into my head recently. I had to do a corporate presentation, and when I was asked to do it, it was one of the things that kind of popped into my head as a way of framing some of the things that we kind of generally talk about, but it's useful to remind ourselves, and that is the doer versus the doing. So what do I mean? The doer versus the doing. So the doing comes second. The doer, that is you, is the first thing. You can't have the doing without somebody doing it. And the doer is the person that does it. And it all comes back to this idea that when you go racing, and I know I'm biased, but when you go racing, we can have the chops, we can have the racecraft, we can have the pace, we can even have the car, the setup, all perfect. I could be the fittest person out there. But mentally, if I'm not there, doesn't matter. And even if we talk about things, we did the success poster the other week, and we started to look at discipline and perseverance, persistence. If I don't have those qualities, well, I certainly wouldn't have gone to the gym either. So I'm probably not as fit as I need to be, or looking after my sleep, or managing myself as well I need to be physically. And I certainly probably not then doing it mentally. So again, it doesn't matter how fast my car is or how good my racecraft is. I'm just not be able to maximize it or get the best out of it. So it comes back to this idea that the doing is a hard skill, generally speaking, and the doer is the soft skill, and that's you. And a lot of the time, like we covered in Plato's Cave recently, we can get very, very distracted by the doing. The being on the sim, the testing, the racing, the data, the onboard. We get very focused on the doing rather than thinking, if I was fitter, I'd have more endurance across my weekend. I wouldn't get so tired. I'd still be able to perform on a Sunday afternoon the same way as I did on Friday. Mentally, you know what? If I had a lower bucket and less noise, I'd feel calmer out there. I'd make better choices. I'd have less noise. I'd make fewer mistakes. I'd have higher focus. You know what? If I had some goals out there that I really wanted to achieve, then I could work towards them. It all goes back to the doer, not the doing. And I know every week I come on in the weekly check-ins and we're talking in sessions, and it's all about the doer. But I think it's so important to remind you that it's not the going racing, that's the doing. It's the doer that is the biggest factor in it all. I quite often talk about the interview. I'll see if I can find it at some point. I can't remember if it was Grosjean or Buemi or somebody like that years ago in an interview, and he said, doesn't matter how good the car or how good a driver you are, if you turn up with the wrong head on, it kind of doesn't work. And that's the doer versus the doing. And when we look at going racing, it's so important that the doer turns up ready, prepared, focused, and ready to do the doing, right? So this is where we talk about recovery, and recovery covers everything from diet, nutrition, sleep, your mental tools, how high or how full your bucket is, how organized you are, your logistics. All of those things are all to do with the doer, not the doing, because it's the doer that does the do. So I know I go on about it all the time, but it's so important that it all starts with it's you that goes racing. And when I talk about it in a context of it's you that does everything. So it's you that might be the husband, the wife, the partner, the business person, the whatever. It's you that takes yourself to each of these roles, and then you do the doing. But everything starts with the doer. So the question is, how can you be a better doer? What can you do to be a better version or the best version of you? And that comes down to paying attention to your mental tools, the salty bag of meat, keeping your bucket low, and then putting these other things into practice and process so that you show up well rested, fit, calm, relaxed, and confident when you come to do the doing, which in this case is racing. But it's the same regardless of what you're taking yourself to. You've got to show up the best version of you, the doer. So it's just a little reminder this week about it's the doer. That's where we need to focus. The doing, yeah, we can do that, but we can't do the doing without the doer. So that's where we should be placing most of our focus. Any thoughts, any questions about the doer versus the doing, let me know and I'll speak to you next week. Take care. Bye. And that wraps up another episode of Inner Racing by Motorsport Mind. I hope you found this month's topic valuable in your journey towards peak performance in your racing. To stay updated with the latest content, be sure to subscribe to the newsletter, download the app, and subscribe to the blog. Just visit motorsportmind.com or follow the links.